and I know you all have been at this for a while.
How do you see the President's role in resource development?
I think that it's an integral role, and I believe that what it is, it's friend raising to begin with. You have to establish those relationships with those individuals in the community. You need to firmly understand with regards to where their interest lies and how then you can take advantage of that interest in order to actually get dollars coming in. I believe that the President is the poster child or the spokesperson with regards to the institution, and so every time that the President is out in public, they're actually working towards the work of the foundation in trying to build more interest with regards to the institution itself.
Building on to that, you spoke during lunch about the Aviation Academy, and you spoke about the different partnerships that were formed with the establishment of the Academy and then new industries coming to Guilford County. Would you elaborate to this group about the Aviation Academy and your role with forming those partnerships and for the community college?
Aviation has been a really important program for us at Guilford Tech because of the fact that the Piedmont Triad region has actually identified aviation as one of our fastest growing career fields and one of the areas that we're going to need highly trained and highly skilled workers. And so it was important for us. We did have an aviation maintenance program. We also have a career pilot and management training program, and we have recently established an aviation academy that serves as a pipeline with Guilford County school systems into our aviation degree. And it has been essential from the very beginning that we reach out to the aviation industry. And I'm going to use two as an example, and that's Honda Jet and Timco. When Honda Jet came to the area, they told us we're going to need individuals who are actually going to be able to help us construct the jets that we're going to be building here at this facility. So we put together more of a customized training program for them to meet their specific needs. Well, there was a downturn in the economy, and so they had to back off a little bit with regards to their production. They also were having trouble getting the supplies that they needed in order to start that building process. Well, in the meantime, we had worked with our workforce resource entity in gathering students to come in and actually take this customized training program. So we had approximately 150 students who at that point in time did not see that there were going to be prospects for them in the aviation industry. So what we basically worked with Timco on, and I think this speaks, Honda Jet, and I think this speaks greatly with regards to the company's integrity, is actually trying to figure out how do we hold on to these students so that when you are ready to go into production, we're going to have trained workers. And they actually came up with additional tuition dollars so that all of those students, if they chose to, could go on with the full A&P or mechanics program at the institution. So now what we're looking at is we're finishing up that process right now, and those students are going to be able to go out and get their license. But Honda Jet had enough confidence in us because of the training programs that we have in place, the subject matter expertise of our faculty, that they were willing to make that investment so that they would have the workforce that they actually needed. We've also done some of that same relationship building with Timco. And Timco is a large company, and they're responsible for aircraft maintenance, and they'll receive contracts from all over the world. In fact, they most recently received the contract from Southwest Airlines. Remember how their fuselage was peeling back? And so they're doing some repair work on those airplanes now. but we've done a lot of customized training with them on site. So we're taking advantage of their facilities, we're taking advantage of the equipment that they have, but what's been able to happen is that some of the students are actually able to be hired on, and they're going through their training as part of their employment with TIMCO. So you talk about a win-win situation. But what we found with regards to those two companies as well as our other aviation industries is it has been so important to build relationships because then they look to us first when they're looking for employees, but they're also willing to serve on our advisory committees, and that expertise is invaluable when you're looking at shaping your curriculum and making sure that your equipment is the top of the line and that will allow these students to transfer their training and education right into the workforce. But they've also helped us in more tangible ways with regards to equipment. It is not unusual to receive a jet engine to work on from one of those entities, or different tools or other pieces of materials that we need in order to provide our students with the hands-on training and education that they need in order to be successful. So our partnerships have been invaluable to us. And it's something that really needs to happen anytime you have an industry in your area, in my opinion, is making sure that that industry is aware of what you can provide to them as far as education and training, that they are aware of what your needs are as an institution because you're keeping their workforce strong. And really that kind of advisory role that they can give. So I think it's invaluable.
I guess just kind of playing on that, could you address the political side of building those kinds of partnerships and give some examples of your expertise or practice with some of the politicians that have to be involved with that kind of endeavor?
Certainly. It's interesting because that's one of the things that I've definitely encountered at Guilford Tech. We actually have our first campus, or our main campus, that's located in Jamestown. Jamestown, North Carolina, sits right smack dab between Greensboro, North Carolina, and High Point, North Carolina. And so one of the first lessons that I learned from our president is that you have to be very aware and you have to be very savvy with regards to when you're reaching out to industry, when you're reaching out to post-secondary institutions of education, as you're trying to establish working relationships with the Board of Commerce and Industry and with the economic development agencies, that you not show favoritism to one community over another, that if you do something in one area that you're doing it in the other area as well. Now, we almost have what we call a safe zone in Jamestown, and then we function off of that safe zone in serving the needs of both of those communities. But you're absolutely right because of the fact that there can be interesting relationships that actually develop in terms of county commissioners and how county commissioners interact with local government entities. And the very best thing to do in that circumstance is to treat everybody equally and to basically not lean towards one side or the other, but to try to be as actively engaged as you possibly can be with all sides. So no matter who gets in office or no matter who goes into power next, you still have their relationship actually established, and you haven't been seen to be more leaning towards this way or that way.
Okay, Mark, it looks like it's your turn.
You always put me on the spot. Coke or Pepsi?
Probably Diet Coke, although I have become really endeared to Cheerwine. That is something coming out of North Carolina. I think I had my first Diet Cheerwine as we crossed over the border into North Carolina, and I've pretty much been hooked ever since.
I do have a serious one.
Okay?
As educators, we get into a rut of groupthink, especially there are quite a few of us who've been here for a long time, and you kind of get into your little mindset. How do you get people to think outside the box?
I believe basically that one of the ways that you can best get people to think outside the box is through brainstorming exercises where nothing is off limit. Typically with those exercises, what you see is that you see yourself going all the way to the end, and then that solution probably lies at a few steps back. But I think basically that's one of the ways to do it. But you have to have a culture and an atmosphere that values thinking outside the box, that says right off the bat, nothing that you can say is going to be considered silly or stupid.